Punch it off the net and do the 2-1.
All right, 6 o'clock. So we'll first part of this meeting, we'll have a public hearing to discuss the 26-27 district calendar. So if there's anyone from the public who would like to discuss the proposed calendar for the 26-27 school year. Seeing no public here for the calendar. Take a motion to adjourn this public hearing.
So moved.
Second. Favor say aye. Aye. Public hearing closed. Now we'll call to order the regular district meeting. Changes to the agendas or that? The motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second that. All in favor say aye. 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 It is approved. So look at the consent items. If anybody had any questions on those. Here, Chris. Caught up at the sheriff's office.
Apologetic about that. Yeah.
I wondered when it was.
No problem too much.
No.
Give you a lot of minutes. Any questions over those consent items at all?
Like a movement to approve the consent items.
Get a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consent item number 3. Correspondence. On the public forum, so Sue.
This is the three. You ever need to pass one down?
You go.
I've been talking the last few months about all of the changes we've been making to the University of Maryland because the nature of them also apply to K-12 levels around the country and our schools. Various ones I know around the country that are working on this. I'm just not sure for Baxter's, but I can tell by some of the principal reports you're doing some of the things. I just don't have a lot of details to work with. This is why I keep bringing it up. The plain side, which is a meeting we've already had, this had to do with AI. This is not going to be a separate class. This is being incorporated into absolutely every class that is being taught because of the skill sets that it is providing. And all of the classes are in the process of being rewritten. The ones I'm assigned have all been completely redone now. So we are we're using AI to actually apply the concepts and learning the various ways of accessing quality information and processing it, both for all of the disciplines, and you end up using these skills in your real life because all of our applications, whether it's through discussions or papers, are trying to apply them to various real life situations. Now, since the only discipline I'm down to teaching now is political science, we have a lot of real life applications that we can use for these, which we are doing. So I just wanted to let you know, this is what's coming because these are gonna be life skill sets and we're trying to start them and incorporate them, which is why it's not a separate course, it's incorporated into everything, including the grading rubrics. The other side is a meeting that's actually scheduled for tomorrow. And it is expanding the support system for students because each of us have different life situations. We've had different life experiences. So various things can come up with students as they are taking a class, trying to act with a whole wide range of things. So we are expanding various ways of recognizing what's happening and support systems. So the whole thing is being expanded and various committees are being put together for this, which is why we're having all of these training sessions. And then we have faculty, online faculty hubs for discussions across various disciplines, because a lot of us have multiple degrees here, and it's very helpful when you can apply it in a variety of ways. Kind of like the math thing here, you do use math across disciplines here. But we also have special discussions within each of our disciplines too, so that we can learn from each other's, because we're all experiencing different things with each of the students. But that's also what you're running into here with students at the K-12 level. And I do occasionally hear some things in some of the principal reports of what you're working on, but I don't get a lot of details to know where you are, how you're looking at it, or anything like that. If by the end of the year, I think May would be the last one. If you could supply that, I'd be really grateful to have an idea of where Baxter stands with this. And that's all I have to say for this week. Thank you.
Sue, is this something that any of us can join, or is this like, is that just?
It's a college. It's
just for you
specific to
guys.
ours. They only let you in if you're actually like teaching there or
Sure,
working.
oh, that's fine, I just didn't.
But if you would like to see additional information, I do have it because I, of course, have clicked on the link, so I downloaded all that to mine.
Yeah, if you got something like an email.
Yeah, I've got a 4-page paper. I'd be happy to, I have your email.
Yeah, so well, you must,
Because
but I usually get them.
emailing when they quit passing them out here, so,
Yeah,
yeah, but yes, I'd be happy to provide that. Or it's just 4 pages, and it isn't the details that all of us would be, but it is a good overview in a variety of areas. Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Thank you, Sue.
Okay, under business items, we'll start with the community visioning group. From this year.
So, Natalie Mormon, and I am, the head of Hometown Pride, in addition to a couple other committees in the community, but, I was the one that wrote the grant for, Baxter, for the community visioning. And, with that being said, with me, I have Brad Heyer, who is on our Hometown Pride Committee. I have Jeff Jensen, who is part of Trees Forever, who gifted the grant along with the Iowa Roadways and Ames. And then I have Joanne Maxwell with me. So we are here because we're at the stage where the grant action items for our Hometown Pride were completed at the end of the year. When I say completed, I mean with the monthly, sometimes more often than that, guidance from our Trees Forever contact, and that's how Jeff is involved. With that being said, we have a ton of action items as a community after that. So what we did as a committee is, with the help of Jeff guiding us, we created a document and basically proposed that we would re-meet with all the groups that were committed at the beginning to make sure that you have the updated information. Why is that important? Because of the fact that now we have the concept drawings, now we have the figures that are estimated for our ideas that we as a group and the community had come up with. We also have access to grants and I'm probably not thinking of all the right words, but we have access to money that is going to take a collaboration of many. Right now, our Hometown Pride is trying to decide specifically what we as a committee want to work on. And we are relying on, I'm gonna just focus on this group. We are relying on the school board to figure out what they want to do, what you want to do. And make sure that you know what tools you have. And then knowing that we have Jeff as a resource that can also help. For example, if you choose something out of these concept drawings to take action on, you know who your sources are, because we will also be a source. So if you decided on, for example, and I'm going to let Brad speak here in a minute, but if you decided on a sidewalk situation, maybe we can tag up with you and do another grant to buddy it. Okay, so it doesn't have to be just you. But we want to introduce this information to you one more time. We may do it again. But with that being said, Brad Heyer.
Okay. So to add to what Natalie's saying, take this out here. So this is a document that we put together. Zach helped as well. Thank you. So a lot of community members since 2023 have been aware of the community visioning program that's been kicked off here, as Natalie described. And also may have participated in some of the community feedback that we had at the last fun days and 2 or 3 other formal events since 2023, if not more. So that the first section really just outlines the quick history. We're only one of seven Iowa communities that received the grant. And with that, there's an 18-month portal that's open for the grant funding, as Natalie was referring to. And if you quit, and I'll skip around a little bit, but if you go to the bottom, what do we need? That's really that collaboration between all the entities, adult groups, city, school, etc., in that grant production and submittals. So if you, Zach, is that your visioning document that's there?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe hand that to Corey, and then we've got another one here that we can share. But if you look at the Station Street corridor, as well as the Baxter Community School parking, quickly get.
So this is just
Yeah,
one
and you
side.
may see it on the email, and we can go through, maybe a couple of people hold this, and what do we want to do? Maybe the street corridor, and maybe let's get the parking one up
The
there too.
parking's
For the
on
school.
that.
It's on that too.
Yeah.
Perfect. So. And everybody's got it. Jeff, you got a copy too.
Brad, you mind if I jump in and give?
Yes.
This is the.
I'm Jeff Jensen, Director of Community Programs with Trees Forever. So I've been leading community visioning communities all across the state, from Algona, 7,000, down to Verina, believe it or not, population 76 in Pocahontas County. So that was a challenge to get some feedback from a small town like that. They don't have a post office, right? So one of those situations. I want to provide a real quick summary in a nutshell. So community visioning is a transportation planning program. It's all about transportation planning for small communities that don't have the resources that larger communities have to engage in different transportation planning, okay? Transportation planning is many things. It's roads, it's trails, it's places you go in town and things like that. So what we're referencing here is the visioning program was applied for in Baxter. They received it. Professional landscape architects were able to develop these wonderful concepts, put together that document, that feasibility report that you're looking at there. I want to highlight that each one of you can go home and see that online at the communityvisioning.org website. Baxter has their own little page with all of the information when they went through the visioning process. And I think the real take home tonight is to essentially bring you all up to speed that we've gone through this process now. We've ended the process, and now we have these great deliverables from the feasibility report to the wonderful concept boards that have been developed. Of course, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so now it's a time to reflect. And so there was several projects that made sense with school collaboration, the parking lot, the corridor, and some of those things. I don't think that anybody's asking for anything at this meeting here tonight, but really just to bring you all up to speed that we're at the point now where we would look towards implementation. So we have some of these different projects. We would look towards implementation. Now, I want to highlight that implementation means many different things, and this can be a really long time frame. It can be a short time frame. The idea is to try to identify some of those projects that are really low-hanging fruit so that we can show some success to the wider community. And that could be something as simple as a tree planting or maybe painted crosswalks or things like that. They don't cost a lot of money, but that are visually, you can see them. And then there's other projects that are going to be 5, 10, 15 years in the making, just because the nature of changing streets or upgrades or things like that. I remember George, Iowa, way out in Lyon County, one of the very first communities that went through this process in 1998, I believe it was. And my father's from George. My grandfather was the vet, had the vet clinic there. And so my father still receives the paper from George, local paper to this day. And about 2015, I want to say, he comes up with the paper. He says, look at this. And on the front page of the paper, it says, local visioning group calls it quits. They had finally achieved the projects that they had identified in 1998 and finished them up in roughly 2014 or whatever. So some of these things take time. We want to identify some low-hanging fruit. These are some projects that obviously would be involved with the school. So I think that's why we want to just highlight those here for you.
One of the other things to just keep in your mind as, thank you, Jeff, as Brad continues, we currently have an action item that Hometown Pride filed for the Alliant grant. So we have 14 trees to plant. And I believe either Lucas, the city clerk, or Joyce reached out to someone here at the school about tree planting that we're going to do in the spring. We will be wanting to have a conversation with the school on if we can plant any trees in areas that is Alliant approved on your property. You may say no. We have a couple other areas that, we already mapped out. But we would like to be able to offer it to you. And so those conversations will probably happen in the next 60 days. But there will be 14. One of the conditions for that one is it has to be located next to a property, like a building that is Alliant energy usage. Okay, so
Are they your electric provider?
we have
Yeah.
multiple.
Too, what you do? Okay.
So, we were thinking, because the sports complex was also an area, and that there was buildings by the ball fields that was approved. So you guys might have some ideas of where you want to do that, or I don't know if we can utilize, any of the other ball fields, but those are just some things to keep in mind, okay? Please continue.
Sure, yeah. So a couple things to point out. If you go to the costing on the parking lot, are you there, Colton?
Yep.
You look like,
Which one I found?
yeah. So you're like, wow, what a big figure. I think the biggest
Yeah.
figure on there was concrete, right? 600,000 to 700,000. But if you start piecing that out, one of the items that Jeff alluded to and Natalie did as well is that you have to factor in what's that low hanging fruit. So a lot of the feedback that we got within all the community was a lot of the safety aspect with travel, parking lot, the buses over here on the west side, etc. And it's just like a slalom event, and it's a stop and go. So grants with painting, crosswalks, etc. We don't have to start at the parking lot is kind of the message. And any help and guidance that we can get, again, with grant submittals, etc. There's several things that probably could be accomplished as we move towards some of the bigger ticket items. The other things like Natalie just mentioned too, the whole Station Street corridor, you've got the whole north side of the school that's involved with that and then going out to the complex. So
Thinking like painted crosswalks, that they would like,
Yes.
flashing lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Across
Yeah.
with
And that's
something.
yes, and that was another key aspect. Do you know one of the grants that would focus on that we would have, or a couple that may?
I know some communities that got them, so Emmitsburg was able to go across Highway 18 where they wanted to, communities got right in half, school on the north end, so kids from the south end. There's a hill or a little hump in the road, and so they got a crosswalk there. Tama, they received one as well. And so, we can get you the information, but yeah. So those crosswalks are, the flashing lights are very popular in areas where there's a lot of congestion and really a safety.
Something else to be aware, not, is if you don't, and if you do know, apologies for duplicate. So they're digging out the pond because they got that REAP grant. That they thought before Lucas left, that some of that money would actually be able to be used for a trail around it. So that's also on Hometown Pride's mind, because if we can get, again, together, we could maybe improve the crosswalks in these areas. They can get a trail there, then we can start to figure out if we want to have some connection to the bike area. This is our third presentation of doing this. We actually went to the Iowa Bike Coalition, and they're talking, as of last night, we're going to another one because we had the president of the Iowa Bike Coalition come in. They already took our information because we're the only campsite area on that. So there's a lot of pluses that we could utilize here. And then lastly, we've all had kids. Think about all the programs that bring in dollars, and if we can create additional parking or safety for them. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir because you guys brought up the idea. You know, our parents are saying, yes, we need that.
And one thing I'll say too, because I mean, these are proposed. This isn't the be all end all. The school had input and there's tweaks, etc. that we want to know that feedback as well, because we're not the be all end all group. I mean, we've got to work together. And as Jeff was alluding to, there's probably some low hanging fruit items that we can get done within the first 5 years. But then there's going to be some other items that, man, we could get them done within 10 for sure, instead of prolonging to 15 and whatnot. I mean, that would be just wonderful. One thing I'll point out on the concrete. So I work at the prison. Some people probably know that. I run a lot of operations, but through 23 plus years with multiple corrections things, there's DOT money that comes in for parking lots. So we manage part of the county down there at the prison, but we also get DOT money for parking lots, all perimeter road, and it's a 90-10 split between federal and state. And there's got to be an angle that the school district can come in and apply with those DOT monies. There has to be. I don't know it. I know my end of things there with the state of Iowa, but it's all encompassing. But with the school district, there has to be some monies that could be lifted out of that fund alone. And like I said, it's been millions that we've been able to obtain from there. Just in the last 3 years at Newt alone, it's been close to $750,000 because we've redone parking lots and perimeter roads and even boulevards inside the secured facility. So I note that. So if there's somebody that can work with us or in anything that may entail, that would be great. Just a few things back on the document. So if you go to, you'll notice the QR code that's here on this rendering, plus we've got the others. It's again in this document here, the website's there. If you take your phone right now, as Zach may do with the camera, you'll go right to these rendering documents that are in here right off the page. And again, the prioritization of the projects, we really need your feedback. And then anybody that wants to help and contribute, like we all won't have enough to do, right? Yeah, between kids and everything else that we got to do and our daily lives. We are going to meet with the city the first Monday. Help me. March 2nd, March 9th.
I think it's the 9th.
The 9th.
Yeah.
So we'll do a similar venue with the city coming up here. And
basically what we were thinking, again, as an idea that we gave to Bedco when we were practicing our speech is, let's just say Bedco needs to fix a street. All right. Let's pretend it's Station Street.
Yeah.
Then if that's the case, that they're going to forecast that in 27, then what can our two groups do at the same time? Is it maybe fix a little sidewalk? Is it maybe add trees? Is it maybe add additional landscaping on the south side of the building? I mean, there's tons of waterway. I went to the grant recognition, and there's so much waterway stuff and additional trees and everything that we could all utilize for different various reasons if we need to change things. But if there's something you guys want, but you don't want to do it all on your own, let us know, because maybe Hometown Pride or the Chamber or Bedco and or the city may piggyback with it. I can't speak on behalf of the city, but right now everybody has been working together on it. So,
Yeah,
and we did pull in the boost, or no, my apologies. We did pull in Baxter Rec. They've gone over this with us because there was a lot of conversation around all these programs that they brought in, which we are thankful for. And just trying to figure out parking and businesses that we can bring in, et cetera.
we're looking for any and all adult communities groups help. Can we pull up that trailhead? Yeah.
Oh, right.
And again, if you scan this, you may have already seen it, but
Right here.
because this fits a lot with the station street corridor going out. But if you look at these photos here, I mean, my goodness, what a transformation that would be, along with all of the safety aspect around the school and then going out to the complex, you know, regardless of this piece for a minute. And then, of course, the bike trail coming up. I mean, again, it's not the final, but Ritlin and Kuiper will be on board for how much longer, if there's any tweaks to the renderings and all of that.
These are done essentially.
Yeah, but I mean, if we had any amendments, because the grant period is still open till when?
We're basically wrapped up.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
But even if we needed, probably Sam and her team, I
Mhm.
mean, because they've already worked with us, may be able to help guide us where we need to go or make an adjustment. You know, I can't speak on a minimal fee, but I
Mhm.
mean, if we have to do it for the purpose of our grant, we could still use all these concept drawings for
Yeah.
that.
Usually architect firms, they like 5,000 to start. Yeah, 5,000 will get it kicked off. So,
Don't be asking for anyone.
No.
Pictures and pictures worth of, what we're trying to explain it, hey, this is what it's.
what do you guys think? I mean, and again, some probably been kind of familiar or more familiar with what's going on.
So I think, so when you say the kind of the grant period ended, that was for the visioning part of it, correct?
Right.
So now it's finding grants for concrete or trees or
Yes.
crosswalks and lights. So then that's what that might take maybe in 2 years, like, oh, there's a grant coming up for lighting.
So for example, Keep Iowa Beautiful just closed. And I did assist the Legion 493 to, because we understand that their wall is going to be taken down. And so it's gonna need to go back up. So, we did file for a grant for that mural to be put back up. But when I spoke with the Hometown Pride leader, within the last 3.5 months, she actually came to Baxter. Amanda and Chantel took her through the school. Let her see all of this, because we're one of the first Hometown Pride committees for the state, and we're still here. So we're one of 7 or 8 too. So she said, we need to talk to you. And I met her at a conference in Indianola. At the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is, again, back to the crosswalk idea, I'm going with something small. If you guys decide to do crosswalks, maybe we could do a grant with the city, get your crosswalk paint and get that done. Now, we can't do it for now for 2026, but we could prepare for 2027. You could figure out which crosswalks you want to do. It could even be in other areas. It doesn't have to be by the school, you know, wherever your need is. There's even kids walking to the football field. I love that they're going out there. I love to see that activity, but I also hate to say it out loud. I sometimes speed, and that's scary. Okay. And it happens to everybody, but how do we figure out how to fix that? Together. You know, so keep Iowa beautiful with you and Corey and everyone. The architects, Sam, I refer to her as Sam, who came and presented a couple different times. She actually sent a boatload of links of grants. I think they're attached in the community visioning stuff in the QR code, because one of the other commitments we made, Ashley actually recommended this. Natalie, how do we get it out of your mailbox and get it so anyone can access it? Great idea. So we had the city load everything. So when you do use the QR code, you go up and you'll see community visioning and you can link into it all day long. Anybody can. If you don't want to go into the link that Jeff referred to, which is the community visioning link. And then Sam also shared with me that even if we needed something later, she could help us. She has a ton more concept drawings that she didn't even print for me. So those are available also.
Just for clarification, so all of the information in that visioning can be utilized for any grant we have access to. There's no limitations
Right.
from them. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that there
Yeah.
weren't limitations around what they were willing to,
No,
but okay.
which is why when I knew you and your husband were on the booth or the rec.
Yeah,
And then I was speaking with Ben Maxwell and he's like, yeah, I need to catch up with this. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is a big deal. We can help each other in so many ways.
Yeah.
And then again, Amanda talking about the little kids and, you know, et cetera. So, yeah. But if we could connect the trail to, again, the trailhead and somehow connect it over here and even to the sports complex. In reality, when I go to with the Casey Center now, you walk 8 blocks just to get to the Casey Center. That's just like walking to our sports complex, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, those things are reality. But it's just a different way to look at it. Any other questions or comments?
I think it's a great deal. I mean, think back, growing up in town and seeing people in the community with big ideas like this. Yeah, it takes many years, but eventually they come true and it makes the town that much better. So I think, yeah, these are things probably worth pursuing and yeah, trying to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, and again, we just wanted you to have the resources available. When and if you need anything, ask. We might not know, but we have resources like Jeff and
Heard my name like 20 times tonight. I know where to get all that.
yeah, he drove a long ways to get here, but he just say that. And he's been here more than one time, which we appreciate. And I will say, as a side note, the CEO of the architect firm came Fun Days weekend.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
and he was very impressed with just everyone working together. And all of the things we had going on in the community. And he, because we put them through the parade. I don't know if you remember that. And he said, I've never gone to, Sam said, you're gonna let us ride your Ranger all through the parade and all over town. And I'm like, yeah, it's yours for the day. And they just went everywhere. I mean, that's how they got their pictures for this and measurements, et cetera. So, they think we even have some potential for Main Street. I don't know if you saw any of those concept drawings, but could you imagine us having pop outs on Main Street with trees and maybe, the garden club is working with us and really you, they're planning on putting benches out to help us with the markets and things like that. And then we're also having, someone from Newton who is an artist come and talk to us about another mural. Possibly on a business. So they're coming to town and they used to be a school teacher here. So, a long time ago when I was, like only 10 years ago, right? But anyway, she's coming back to try and help us with that. So,
You've been gracious with your time.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank you.
Yeah, thank you for giving us the extended time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Definitely something to be attached.
Brad wants his book back.
That one's Axe, so.
Thank you. We usually go ahead, so let us know. Yeah, we maybe get some print too.
No, I've gone through the website.
I see a number you have the side up, which is perfect, so. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good stuff. Yeah, if anybody likes writing grants.
I've done it. I don't like doing it.
Anyone likes to do. No, but yeah, something like I said, I think it's worthwhile, we all know the parking. And hopefully as we keep growing, we need more parking in the future.
Maybe that Jeff guy could practice like the there's available.
But how's the parking gonna work over here? Didn't I hear somebody say that's where the
They apparently
is or something like that south of that?
apparently I was told they looked into it and where they have a stand, it shouldn't affect it.
I think I asked John that too, because John knows everything.
Well, that's,
He
I remember
said
him
some
saying
it's
that.
actually underneath the playground.
I
So
remember
it's
that
already
part.
been
I
deleted
remember.
already,
Uh-huh.
so.
Hmm.
But, yeah, like, I've thought about it too, like now this thing is like, gosh, you gotta walk so far from. If you park down there, say to a basketball game or whatnot, but it's. I don't know, I guess we're all just used to being able to park so close to school, but. Yeah, it does tighten streets, I see what they're saying. Drive through in the mornings and it's just the zoo. Which I think there could be other things that. Be implemented city-wise to help that, but. Yeah, something to keep in mind anyway, so. Doing all that, Zach.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments on that end at all? Well, on the principal's reports then.
I'll highlight some athletic stuff that we've had or activity stuff that we've had over the last couple of months or the month. We do have 4 state wrestlers that are going to be starting tomorrow at the Casey Center. So congratulations to our state wrestlers and our wrestling program in general. We have all state speech, looks like Readers Theater and radio broadcast that will go and perform or present over the weekend as well. So congratulations to them. And then our academic decathlon team placed 3rd in the small school division over the last couple of weeks. So just some cool things that are happening with our activities department at Baxter, and just wanted to kind of highlight them. Elementary specific, last week we celebrated Kindness Week in elementary. Jill, our school counselor, kind of led that and just put us through a couple different activities and some things around the elementary. They just wanted to highlight the things that we have going on, but also just to highlight our commitment to character development and making sure that we have kids that are doing things the right way. So kudos to Jill and all her work with that. We did open pre-K pre-registration 2 weeks ago. So that process has started. As of today, we had 16 people that were registered, but I plan to send that back out over the next week or so to try and get some more. So just kind of keep you guys in the loop on where we are with that. One thing that you guys know of, we've done for a very long time and has been led by Anna Travis, is our Big Boat Little Boat program. And just wanted to share with you that as of this year and as of right now, we do have 69 matches between our high school, middle school, and our elementary students. So something that is just been a great program for us, and just pairs our elementary student with a middle school, high school student to be a mentor, to be somebody to hang out with, somebody to connect with. Just been a great program. And just wanted to kind of highlight that 69, I think, is the highest that we've had. I think last year at this time it was 63. So we continue to build it and evolve it, and that's kudos to Anna and all that she does with that particular program. On Friday, we have our 5th grade DARE graduation, and we'll celebrate with that. So that's been something that's been back now with Josh, and he's been working really well with that 5th grade group on DARE, and just another positive thing that we have within our elementary and Josh's head, and that's been a good big piece to what he's done with our elementary. And then the last thing I got is kind of updates on our fast testing. So you know that 3 times a year that we're doing the screener, we're kind of giving an idea of dipstick of where we are in both reading and math. In reading, our building proficiency was at 76% for the winter screener. We always typically, our aim point is to be at 80%. That's where we really want to be. 76% in the winter is the highest it's ever been in the last 12 years, 13 years that we've started to collect this data. So we feel like we're trending in the right direction. Obviously, it still presents some hurdles and things that we want to tackle, but at the same point, the data is showing us that what we're doing is having impact in the classroom. The question of, is our core curriculum having an impact? And most of those conversations are saying yes, with the ability to have to intervene in certain places. But that was something that was positive for us as we looked at our reading data at Data Day. So the other piece of is math, and we are at 86% building wide proficiency, which is also a really solid number, and right in line to where we were in the fall a little bit more. So again, what this really is just a telling tale of where we are right now. What's our current reality? It gives us some hope that what we are doing is having impact. But it also presents the struggles of now how do we continually find ways to improve? That's our biggest commitment in the elementary, is just continually find ways to improve with those numbers. You really got to dive deep into the data, try and figure out where those improvements can come from. But it's also reassuring that the work that we are doing is having positive impact. So I want to share that.
All right. We just wrapped up FFA or FCCLA week with a Pie in the Face fundraiser this past Friday. Really enjoyed taking a variety of pies right in the old schnoz, but that's okay. Students did have a blast with that. We will be having a national FFA week upcoming, and I really hope I don't get voted to kiss the pig, but we'll see. Our kids like to get me into those kind of things. So we do have the spring plays up and practicing. There will be public performances at the end of March, last weekend in March for sure. So kind of excited about that. We will be looking in the future. I think we'll be trying to pivot that back. So maybe we actually do like a fall performance, but we're still going to try to iron that out. We did not have a fall performance this year, and looking forward to spring play this year. We're going to be making some adjustments to our MTSS period for the high school opposite of our lunch periods. So you might be hearing a little bit about that. Looking at more of an advisory type model with some designated academic support centers, as opposed to kind of a draft model that we have right now. So just some changes that we're being made to support our students academically. Recently met with some juniors about changes to just student council in general. I just feel that we're it's kind of been, since I've been here, just anybody that kind of wants to join, anybody that kind of wants to be a part, and I just feel like it can be a little bit more tapered down. We can get a little bit more productive with what we're doing with that. Wanted to have more of a student government type feel, where we would have some more voice and have some more input from our students and vice versa. So just know that there'll be some changes coming with that. And I was also approached recently from a community member about service projects to clean up around the school grounds. Some of the concern was just, especially some of our parking lot areas that we do have right now, just not always maybe as clean as we would like to all see them. It's not something that really our custodial group and that kind of thing can be responsible for. So I'm going to be approaching our middle school and high school student council groups, looking to get some sort of like schedule a rotation where we can kind of help out, and that'd be a nice service project that those kids can kind of, with the supervision of our sponsors, be responsible for and help give back to the building and the community at large. So just a few changes we're considering and looking into.
No, this is probably, this is more just, I promised I'd ask this question for a bunch of ninth grade girls that attacked me the other day. They wanna know, they were wondering what went wrong with their dance. They wanted to know why that got canceled. So this is, just in case they're watching, I was threatened with my life that I was supposed to bring it up.
It's okay. It's okay. So originally we had a sign up go out just because there was some concern. It was pretty poorly attended last year as well. Weather also, I think, played a little bit of a part into that last year. But so we sent out a preliminary like sign up. Only one student bought a ticket ahead of time, which we were trying to kind of push for. That kind of like locks you in officially, right? But we did have we only had 27 students sign up that indicated that they wanted to go. I kind of let the students know ahead of time, like, hey, if we don't have at least 50, I'm just, that 50 is still only like 40% of our students. Like we need to be at that to hold this on a Saturday night and ask staff members to come in on a Saturday night. So again, that wasn't really my biggest issue, but it's like, we need to have some assurance from the students that there's participation. Some of the young women that were signed up originally were doing some recruiting and trying to get more involvement. They did get up to 41, but I told several students this, like, guys, if we're still only at 41 and you had to twist arms to get that extra 14, I have a very hard time believing they're going to show up on Saturday night. So that was the only reason, really, was just the lack of interest on the student part. I get it.
Yeah, good work, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks. You bet.
All right. With policy code 103.
Yeah, this is our long range needs assessment. This is a policy we review annually. It kind of sets out the parameters on the things that we do, including our SIAC committee. Some of the surveys that we push out, our public meetings, the internal scan that we've just done with our staff, and all of the different measures that we use for our needs assessment. We're not proposing any changes. It's still the same as it was last year.
So it'll just be approved and
Yeah.
We'll forego the second reading since there's no changes.
motion to approve board policy 103 with no changes before going to second reading.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. See approved. District calendar.
Yeah, so we met as a calendar committee, it's 2 representatives from the elementary, 2 from the secondary, produced 1 member because our ADs also are principals that produced 1 there, but it's our AD are both principals and myself to develop a proposal, and that's what you'll see there. It's extremely similar to this year. A few minor differences, early hours before holidays, 1 additional Monday at the end of the year. We actually have 3 more student contact hours next year and 1 more student contact day. Typically, and this is probably a good topic of conversation, especially for our work sessions. Typically, both here at GMG at the other district, when I lead these calendar committee meetings off, the first thing I ask is, how sacred is finishing before Memorial Day? Because truly that's going to drive your calendar. And so we kind of usually start from there, but it may be a topic of discussion. I mean, the feedback I've gotten is we want to be done by Memorial Day. We want to be done at both districts. We want to be done by Memorial Day. It limits your flexibility a little bit because, you know, you've got to get those hours in between those 2, the start date from the state standpoint and Memorial Day. So and we'll talk a little bit about feedback from our survey as well. And you know, especially during our work sessions and maybe length of day. But that's this is what the committee approved for this year. Like I said, changes are fairly minimal, a few more student contact hours and 1 more student contact day.
Memorial Day on the 31st, and you're talking going into June, which
Yeah,
I
well,
remember
yeah.
doing that. So
And next year is obviously an anomaly because it's the absolute latest Memorial Day can be, and because there is no May 32nd, right?
right.
Well,
That's why I wonder, you know, the calendar.
it's what
Throughout the years of.
it is something you want to be cognizant of. You think you have all this space. Well, if you want to basically roll your calendar over the next year and you went up to that week, you want to be a little careful. If that is important. Some schools, it is, some schools it's not. It's just kind of dependent on the school and the community. You know, Sadell, they do a 4-day week as well, and they go into June. But then they have shorter days. Their days aren't as long.
And I think that's something for discussion at some point in time,
Yeah.
length of days, saw a lot of comments on the survey about long days. I think, we won't jump the shark right away, but
Right.
Get through a year, talk to teachers, talk to parents, talk to students.
Is that something that you could propose to the community, that question?
I think you could. I think I would agree with Corey. I think you want a little more time frame for baseline data.
I would agree with that.
I think 2 years, you get 2 years in, you have a really, first year is always probably gonna be a little bit, I mean, that's your adjustment year, right? But you get another year in and then, yeah. I think are you referring specifically to going after Memorial Day?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Because,
I think that's probably you would certainly want to push a survey or something out to
Yeah.
the community.
yeah,
Because I'm sure it varies by family, as
Right.
we found
That's-
with everything we put out.
I guess that was my whole point is I don't remember seeing that question, but you can't ask that question if you haven't been through your first year, right?
Right,
But after you get through your first year, can you now push that out there and be like, all right, we're through year one? I don't know when the right time is to do it, but like you said, it's gonna be all over the board.
I just, you think for top Memorial Day, like 2025 here, that was the 26th. So they've got almost a whole week until June. So, are we talking again, be done before June or Memorial Day? Because that's almost a
Right.
week difference there
Right.
depending on when it
compared to
falls.
this year. So it's,
Yeah, I mean, you're it's gonna be a 5-year interval, right?
years it's on a Wednesday, the 31st is on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
I would think just traditionally, if it's a move that we were thinking about, we would want community input on it. I think just because my understanding is it's pretty much been done before Memorial Day for a number of years, so. To me, it's not a huge,
Yeah.
to me, it's not a huge change in operation, but that's not the same for everyone, so.
And maybe once they hear, oh, you have to go into June
Right.
to have shorter days, then
That
that changes their
changes.
mind.
It might, yeah.
It's just something, like say it's like June. Nobody goes to school in June.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah, like I say, it's.
There was pushback about like Christmas week, that they were going so close to Christmas.
Yeah, because of the way the calendar fell this year. Yeah, that was one of the things they brought up as well. It would just have, I think the lesson we learned on that is if that Tuesday falls on the day before Christmas Eve, we might want to rethink the way we did that.
And this calendar has an early dismissal.
Correct, and it's a day earlier, right? It's the 22nd instead of the 23rd. It being the 23rd was a big deal. In hindsight, obviously, because the calendar committee created that calendar too. But yeah, it just fell so close to Christmas Eve. Now we're not short, it's on the back end. We had to come back obviously until Tuesday, so it's really still full 2 weeks. It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they would want more time before Christmas and then come back.
I think if you offer giving it the full 2 weeks off, they would take it at a time, but part of the issue that we run into sometimes with Christmas is the balancing of semesters, especially at the secondary level. If you get out too early, you might have 10 more days in the second semester than you do in the first semester. Well, technically, then you may be struggling to meet your accreditation hours that you need, your Carnegie unit hours, because that requires so many hours of seat time in a semester to truly be accredited. So I went to that conversation up there. We want the whole 2 weeks off for Christmas. Okay, we can do that, but then you're not going to end second semester or first semester until after break. Okay, well, we don't want to do that. right? So there's always trade-offs with it as well.
Yeah, because then you're talking about semester tests.
Coming back after
Coming back.
2 weeks off, having a week and taking semester tests.
And we get kind of landlocked because of all of our DMAC offerings too.
Yeah.
Like their
Aligning
semester
with
start, their DMAC semester starts second semester and we have to, I mean, we can't still have students on first semester schedule when they need to start second semester, wherever they may be for those classes. So
It's,
just something to
it's a
consider.
little more complex than it looks on the surface.
Yeah.
Correct.
I don't think people realize that. I don't realize that.
I think I'm happy to see the early out days, like the first week of school and things, because that's the longest week that they go all year. Is
Yeah.
The first week, so thinking about, the youngest, I'm
Yeah.
happy, I think that's a welcome change to see some of those early out days on.
What are they proposing about, like, I keep reading about the start date of school. I don't really understand it.
I'll read about it because we're gonna pass it. It's like the 5th straight year that we fought this battle, Zach, and they just won't do anything with it. Because right now, it's a hard start date of the 23rd, right?
Correct.
Like it is August 23rd is the first day you can start. So we've seen language proposal that say, no, it's gonna be the Monday after the end of the state fair, or it's gonna be the Monday after the third Monday, and nothing ever gets through. We used to have the flexibility. I mean, when I was in school, we started like the second week of August, right? They didn't have that hard start date. And so there's been a lot of discussion in the last 3 years because it's not very logical to say August 23rd. Because the way August 23rd falls every year, it makes it difficult. So I don't know if it's because they don't want to come out and say this is because of the state fair. But we've seen language proposal and basically what our SAI administrator group tells us is just don't hold your breath. It would be nice. It would give us a little more flexibility on the front end, maybe in those years where the state fair ends early, we could start early.
It used to be the 23rd, but they always let you submit a waiver. The
Yeah.
schools submit a waiver, and so then, but all of a sudden, over the last, 3 or 4 years, they're like, no more waivers.
Yep.
Which is why you get one day on a Friday.
Yeah.
Start school on a Friday, which people, that's done.
Yeah.
Early so you can start, right? And it's one less day.
On the end, yeah.
I don't have a schedule. I was just asking.
Yeah, those are good questions.
Do you have any questions or concerns with the calendar at all? I'll take a motion to approve the 26-27 calendar.
Motion to open.
I'll second.
Favor say aye.
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 Calendar's approved. How about the budget guarantee?
Yeah. So this is a resolution we pass every single year. Every school pretty much passes it every year, just in case you fall into what's called the 101% budget guarantee. Typically, you would qualify for this if you had a decline in enrollment the prior year. You have a technical definition, it's 100. It's basically to recoup if you've lost students, is basically the summary. We don't qualify, we don't think, but we'll still approve it. Just because you just want to approve it every year in case you do.
And if
It
it
is-
doesn't hurt you, if
Yeah.
you approve it and you don't need it, they just throw it in the trash.
It is typically funded through property taxes. The proposals, and I'll talk about this, I know that you guys are super excited, this is the time you're talking about legislation. The proposal for this year is to fund it with state funding and not on property tax. So that hasn't been approved, but it's quite possible that the state would cover it this year. So I'm actually glad this is a year we don't qualify for it because it really tweaks how we would have to do our property tax rate proposal. But we'll approve it anyways.
So do we need to read the action resolution?
Sure. Resolved that the Board of Directors of Exeter Community School District will levy property taxes for fiscal year 26-27 for the regular program budget adjustment as allowed under section 257.14 Code of Ohio.
In the motion to approve the 101 budget guarantee?
Then a roll call on her, is it just?
It will be.
Oh, just, yeah, so moved.
Second.
Yep, Zach Morphy-Rapp.
Yep.
Tyler Akins.
Yes.
Elisa Plunkett,
Yes.
Ray Hauser.
Yes.
Corey Robinson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item one.
Yeah, this is, annually, we approve our Title I program, so this provides literally our Title I program, funds our Title I teacher, for reading those types of things. We assume that the application process will be the same this year, but, we'll kind of wait and see. Iowa is actually the first state in the nation, to, apply and be accepted to what's called the Unified Allocation Plan. So Title I is federal funding. Now, basically, the way it's gonna work, since they've been approved for this, is the federal funding will basically be siphoned through the state, and then the state will distribute. I don't know how, we're still waiting to hear more details on it, but we'll go ahead and approve it as we would in years past.
So there is federal funding then, there's talk
There's funding.
last, earlier like in the
Yeah,
school year.
well, they stopped it, yeah,
Yeah,
but yes,
yeah.
there is funding, it's just the way it's allocated and what that looks like moving forward.
Yeah, what those hoops look like that we have to jump through.
Motion to approve the Title I program for the 26-27 year.
So moved.
Second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
Been approved.
We, Wendy Anderson actually applied for this grant last year, and Greg Pickett is doing, we did not get it, so Greg Pickett is doing it again this year. This is through Prairie Meadows, the Community Betterment Grant. And he's applying for basically interactive screens for each classroom and cards to go with those. I think it's somewhere around $50,000 or $60,000 is what it would take, so he's gone to the work of applying for that. Part of the grant requirement, though, is that the board passes resolution.
Resolution of the Board of Education approving the applications for the purpose of applying for community betterment grants from Prairie Meadows. Whereas Prairie Meadows has community betterment grant funds available that target arts and culture, economic development, education and health, and human services. And whereas the Board of Education is supportive of these applications for the betterment of their district. And whereas all applications from the school district will be submitted to Prairie Meadows by the February 28, 2026 deadline. Now therefore be it resolved by the Baxter Community School District Board of Education that the following community betterment grant applications are to be submitted to Prairie Meadows for the February 28, 2026 deadline.
Motion for the resolution of the Prairie Meadows grant.
So moved.
Zach Morphy-Rapp,
Yes.
Tyler Akins,
Yes.
Elisa Plunkett,
Yes.
Ray Hauser,
Yes.
Corey Robinson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've got 9. This is now we're approving these for 26-27. This is the time of year. Obviously, we're gonna see more of an influx because the deadline's coming up for March 1st. Technically, students going into kindergarten have until September 1st, but oftentimes we push this information out. Our preschool students will get the paperwork done. So we got 9 on there. Brylan, or Karen Finch for her daughter Brylan as a Newton, Nicole Birkenholtz for her daughter Ellie from Newton, Mike Holloway for his son Hank from Colfax Mingo, Jennifer Curry for her son William from Colfax Mingo, Brett and Jess Elliott for their children Jacob and Annalise from Collins Maxwell, then Kayla Wilkie and Dustin Wilkie for their children Charlotte and Isla and Lucy from Collins Maxwell. Sometimes you'll see kindergartners on there. We would look at this and we say there's 9 students. Yes, but I believe these 3, Mr. Hasselbrink, are currently attending our preschool. Yeah, so because remember, you don't have to open enroll in for preschool. So it's 9 on there, but it's a net of 6. 3.
Thank you. Sign. So motion to approve the open enrollments.
Yep, I'll move to approve all those open enrollments.
Second.
So in favor say aye.
Aye.
So no, it's approved. So there still could be some next month as well.
Yes,
There are.
because they just had to turn it to us by the 1st. Yes, there already are, right?
So obviously outside of kindergarten, does that mean that these students are for next year or these students are able to open enroll? No.
No, that is, yeah, just for next year.
Okay.
There are,
Clarify.
well, there are some extenuating circumstances that it could be for this year. So generally, we will let you know if it's
Okay.
immediate or if it's for the next.
Okay.
Okay.
Personnel, right?
A few resignations on there. Jordan Westlink is head varsity volleyball coach, Chad Maxwell is head middle school girls basketball coach, Deanne Bishop as instructional coach pending the approval of the early retirement package.
Do those separate, right?
Two resignations.
You can do resignations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a motion to approve the resignations.
I'll motion to approve the three the resignations from their respective roles.
Second. Favor, say aye. Resignations approved, new contracts.
A couple here, Trayton Travis is assistant middle school track and Justin Smith is assistant high school track.
Is there like endorsements that are involved with these? Are
Already
these,
done.
they're done? They're not, okay.
I don't know about Trayton Travis.
You have a voice.
Do you want to do these separately or?
Yes, abstain.
Do you need to recuse yourself?
You got a choice.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the two contracts.
I can move that we approve those two contracts.
Last second.
Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contracts are approved. So, the opportunity for another retirement. How do we,
We had one applicant who qualified. But really what you're doing is just approving the early retirement, the ability to offer it. Yeah.
and all that would be a personnel issue, so it's
Yes, correct.
just offering a package to them.
Yeah, and this allows us to put it into our 26-27 budget.
Budget.
That's out of the main, sorry,
Yes, yep.
is that just 1 year?
It's over 2 annual years.
Yeah.
Okay.
But 1 fiscal year. So
Well,
it's
yeah,
in July
gotcha.
and
Yeah,
January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a motion to approve the early retirement package.
So, I'll second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
Retirement's approved. Facilities.
Okay, so a couple of items here. Weight room flooring has kind of been a big one for the last 2 years. The rubber flooring in there is torn in a couple different spots. You can maybe speak to this even better than I can. Certainly in the one spot, it's becoming a hazard as it's kind of buckling up and where the tear is. It's original to there, so 20 years plus. So our PE teacher, Mr. Down, has done a nice job of getting some quotes, so he's gonna have a few quotes, just something to have on your radar. Probably what we're looking at is between $20,000 and $25,000 in replacement cost for that flooring. I feel a lot better about that this year maybe than last, because we're gonna have a little more room, I think, with our roof bids. We're a little under what we thought they would be. So questions on the flooring in there?
Big is.
Yeah, and you know, we've had a lot of conversation about this and where does the expense fall and what should the funding sources look like? And it's really a facilities issue. We're talking about replacing flooring, it's really a facilities issue. Okay, we have a couple of roof bids here. This is phase 2. We kind of approved those phases last year. The idea was phase 1 was last summer, phase 2 is this summer. It's a pretty good section. There's actually 4 sections. And then we were thinking about anticipating skipping 1 year, but we'll see where we're at with these bids currently. You've got 2 bids on there that we received
The
back.
first
Just
one,
one bid.
yeah,
Oh.
Your your
The elevator.
link on the elevate this thing out.
Sorry, there's like,
I was gonna say, was I'm the only one that did that?
it's, we do have to.
Just so y'all know.
Yeah.
I started putting on George.
Where's my,
Not me, not the
proofreader? Hold on one second.
get a little lazy with you because you're so good at all that.
It's on. Here. You can take a look at the second bid.
I watched that. That's probably the district too.
Now you can take a look at the first bid. So we've got two bids on here, same two bidders that bid on the last phase or section. First bid from Elevate on there is 123,588. Actually will be 2,800 less than that, so just a little over 120,000. The other bid is from Central States, as you'll see on there. Their bid came in 109,900. Both using the same RFP documents, so bidding it out the same way. This is for those 4 sections that you can see. That map is actually included in Elevate's bid on page 3. So it's 10, 11, 12, and 13, kind of that section right in the middle there. That was what we had anticipated on replacing, and
That's a lot of square footage that's not a bad price, actually.
we were anticipating
Yeah,
considerably more.
yeah. I think a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, it might have
It
been a
may
lot
have been.
more. Yeah, because
And
that's,
the Central States guy, he actually came and looked at it. And I said, well, now, how long is it gonna take you? He's like, well, this is considerably larger, like he was already apologizing to me for the amount that was gonna come in. And so then when it came in, we were pleasantly surprised. Do you want to talk about the Mike and
That
that
was-
roof on that?
I will. I think I'll talk about it when we talk about Jeff's.
are we supposed to approve these bids, or you guys just?
Yes.
Switch one?
Yeah.
Who do you guys?
The recommendation would be the low responsive bidder.
Okay. They're both.
They're both great.
Yeah, both very,
Central
Work with
States
both
actually
of
was
them.
part of their building.
they did the replacement last year. Work with both of them closely, and both did great work.
Did it ever have problems and go over and we have to pay it, or is that not allowed?
There could be some contingency, but typically it'd be, usually they'll build that in. I think it is written in that they build some of that in. They have to probably run into an issue for it to. That's why we want to have them come out and look, because. And it's a pretty straightforward replacement, as you just said, so, and there may be some. Gutter that we can add on if we want to as well, take a look at the condition of those things, but we have to do that as well.
The only thing up to the air was if they get into any wet insulation, right, or something like that. So I was looking, is that, if they have to replace it, I mean, not that that's gonna add it, unless it was really a lot, but.
I think we would have better notice if that was the case.
Yeah,
It's like leakage.
I would think so too. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna.
And we
why they
do have a few of those that you'll be seeing on the facilities.
We print them out.
I'm good now. Fill out another one.
So, we have a motion to approve Central States roofing bid for the roofing project for next. For coming up.
Motion to approve, say, Central State's bid for phase 2 of the roofing project.
Second that.
Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bid's been approved.
The next one is basically to, I would say, functionalize the restroom in the VOAG building. I know we've had a lot of conversation on the direction of that, but I mean, one of the things we can't ignore is we have, that restroom really needs to be brought up to the point where it can be utilized. It's really not there right now. So Shepley Construction, I met with him last week. He came out and looked at some things of what we can do with it. Right now, it's two very small separate units. So the idea is you blow the wall out in the middle, go ahead and sheet rock the back end, replace the door, replace, put some new flooring in, move the toilet. There's a number of things you can do, but make it functional for the kids that are out there using it, which it really isn't right now. And while we wait, and one of the things that we've talked about a little bit is, well, what can we do out there right now? This is one of them. We know that before we do anything in the classroom, we have to have that roof fixed. So that's going to be a smaller project, but it might be one we look at with Central States as well, depending on where it falls in at that time, if they're doing that, or bidding it out if we need to as well. And then sealing it up, the exterior of the building, sealing it up. Part of the problem with that is, they told me, well, I think we had a critter in here. And so Jeff and I went out there and looked, and the garage door is halfway open. Has to be some preventative measures as well. So, doing what we can, but also we know it's an older building. So what can we do right now to make that space usable? We will tour that space on the facilities tour. So you'll have a better idea of what's out there then too.
And the monies for these were donated, so we already have some money earmarked
we
for
do-
donations,
We
right?
do have some earmarked for ag improvements, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
There were
Yeah,
a
so-
couple donations I thought that I remembered.
Yeah, there's,
Okay.
that would be taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay.
With some left over, and I'll give you an accounting of that at the work session.
Okay.
Of what's been earmarked for that.
But we need to motion this tonight too. So move.
All those in favor to approve the Shelby Construction, the OCAG building?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Document.
Yeah. About bills. It is my favorite thing. Not a lot of movement on the property tax reform bill right now. I think they were probably expecting to move a little quicker, as this is their top priority. The three proposals are substantially different. If you've seen some of them, certainly the Senate proposal has the most impact on the schools. And when I say impact on the schools, they're typically targeting funding sources for facilities. So SAVE, PEPL, your ability to borrow in a GO bond. They have limits on those things, maybe some limits on the management account. The House one really doesn't impact school levy rates. But at the end of the day, I think we have to understand as a board and a community that if it's not impacting the school, it's coming from somewhere, right? And so I think what they're trying to do is hopefully continue to debate these and find a balance between impact between schools and municipalities. And so there hasn't been a lot of movement on it. And we're, I think, just kind of waiting to hear, and then some of it will probably impact SSA. SSA has moved a little bit. Governor proposed 2%, the Senate proposed 1.75. House subcommittee met, they are proposing 2.25. So now, I haven't seen yet if it was approved on the floor of the House, but then it has to go back to the Senate because they have amended that bill or changed that bill. We won't get more than 2.25. So I'll tell you that, and that does not meet CPI, doesn't meet inflationary costs. But I guess it's better than 1.75. So probably between 2 and 2.25 is where I'd assume that might land. But we'll kind of wait to hear. There's a couple other caveats in there with a little increase to additional per pupil funding on the state cost. Limiting transportation equity, which doesn't affect us, or didn't this year.
This year.
It doesn't now. I
Now,
don't know that we're ever getting to $1 million because that's the cap that it places on it. So I don't think it would affect us for quite some time. Operational sharing has been a big one. Understand that the Senate passed 1.75% SSA, and a day later passed a bill that would grant some nice incentives if you whole grade share or consolidated. The messaging is not so subtle there to me. But there have been some other good ones that have been proposed as far as operational sharing goes. One of the things we advocated for last year, and we are again this year, is to double the weighting of the SRO. So right now, the SRO gives us 2 students. There is a proposal out there to increase it to 4. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't pass, but it just kind of got lost in the shuffle last year, so I have to ensure, kind of keep on and like, is this going through? They've actually proposed allowing operational sharing for CTE teachers. So right now you don't get operational sharing for teachers at all. But because of the shortage in CTE areas like ag, industrial tech, FCS, business, they're hoping that maybe if they can propose some incentive there, maybe that helps with that. We are at, with the max right now that you can claim is 25 students based on the different positions. We're at 21 this year.
We're 2 down.
Are we, okay, we're at 23 this year. With the SRO increase, we would go to 25. Okay, yeah, we're at 23 this year. If they increase the SRO, we will be maxed out. So we'll be claiming all the operational sharing that we can claim. In areas that I would say we're seeing a financial benefit from, because that's anytime you engage in, well, do we need to look into the operational sharing of this position? You'll want to look at, you want to definitely do a cost benefit analysis of what are the services we're getting, what are we going to pay, right? Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it just doesn't. It just doesn't pay for itself. So we'll wait to see on that bill. I would be hopeful that that one would get across the line this year. The other one I mentioned was the transportation bill. Right now, you can go 2 miles into a neighboring district to pick up open enrolled students. As long as their residence is closer to your attendance center than their resident attendance center. The proposal in this bill would eliminate the 2-mile requirement, so there'd be no distance max, but it still keeps into effect their home has to be closer to the school they're open enrolling to than it is than the district that they live in. Would that have a great effect on us? I mean, I would say not a huge effect. Most of our students that probably live in Newton's district, to use Newton as an example, are probably closer to the Newton Attendance Center than they are the Baxter Attendance Center. As you see small schools maybe consolidate, I could see that having a bigger impact, but that's another one we'll kind of just wait to see where that goes. Any questions on any of those? Just kind of playing the waiting game. They did miss the deadline for SSA to approve this, so nothing else has been consistent over the last handful of years.
Being quiet on the property tax.
It hasn't
relief.
heard much on it, so.
Have you heard anything about the library?
Well, we're kind of diving in that we talked about this a little bit, basically preventing 2080 agreements to a certain extent between school and state. Is that what you're talking about, between city and school libraries? Yeah, we're kind of waiting to see where that one falls and what the wording of it actually means. Ours is certainly unique, right? Because it's located in the school, but districts like Des Moines, they do use their public library for some of their schools. I don't think that bill is going to get much traction in general. I mean, there's been some other bills proposed, a little stranger, taking cash at the gate. I think that one's probably going to go through. Someone's proposing basically 3 dead weeks for sports. So
Like throughout the year.
throughout the year, yeah. One between Christmas and New Year's, one where it sits now, and one in like November. In between
football,
sports,
basketball.
yeah. So there's some different ones out there. I mean, there's a lot out there. If you go online and look, there's a lot of bills that are proposed, and some of them are entertaining to read. Some of them would be good, but yeah. Any other legislative update questions? 4-day week survey results are linked there as well. I know I sent these to you. This will be something we'll maybe dive into a little bit greater depth on in the work session. Certainly some great information here. In general, I would say, the response rate was pretty positive. We've had an opportunity to go over it as an administrative team, read through the comments as administrative team, and those are comments I think will be a good thing to discuss in our work session and kind of, because there was some good feedback there and things that we could certainly look at and ways to improve it. you know, roll it out 1 year, you can't expect it to be perfect, but, well, overall, it's pretty overwhelmingly supported. Questions on any of those specific questions or any insights? Like I said, we'll probably do a deeper dive here in a couple weeks, but
I've had several people in the industry, you know, like approach me, hearing that we went and they just, you know, they were on the cutting edge of you know, sort of needing.
yeah, I think there's 27 districts right now. I think I think the state will push close to 40 next year. One of the initial concerns I had with this, was would they try to push legislation that would basically not enable this? And there was a proposal last year that would have forced schools to go back to 180 student contact days, and it didn't go far. I think now that we're getting to a point where we're talking 40 schools, that's well over 10% of the schools in the state of Iowa that would be doing it. It puts a little bit more of a solid foundation on it. They won't pull the rug from the legislative level because we are still meeting every requirement we're required to meet in Iowa.
Used to be 180-day rule, and they switched over several years ago to 180 days or 1,080 hours. And so as long as you're meeting one of those two.
Back when I was going to school, you'd have those days where you get there at 8. They knew the weather was gonna be bad, but they'd bring in for 2 hours because they get countless a day, right?
I remember that.
Yeah.
And I knew ahead of time because that phone would ring on the phone period.
That's no longer really valid. I really think the legislation that was proposing to go back to 180 days was shot down, not just because of the 40-week, it's because you're not gonna see hardly any calendars anymore that are 180 days. Every school adjusted down a little bit, so. But like I said, we'll have a good opportunity to have an in-depth discussion on some of those things and kind of ties into the calendar, obviously, you know, they kind of both correspond to one another, and there's areas that we can improve. You know, we heard a lot about, you know, activities on Monday still, and it's a tough one, right? And some of the solutions maybe aren't a solution in a year, maybe it's 2 or 3 years, and we can work toward that. I think it becomes easier to work toward it as we see more schools in our conference move to the model. Certified budget timeline, you'll notice our March meetings pushed back. That's to meet our budget requirements. We can't do that before the 20th. Is that right? Julie 10th, 20th? March 20th. So we have to have we push our regular meeting back to the 25th. And then we have 2 hearings for that. So our proposed tax notice hearing we'll have on the 25th, and then we'll have another hearing in the April meeting to approve the budget. That kind of leads into our work sessions. They are really coming up. March 2nd and 4th aren't too far away. 5 to 8 tentatively on there. We are just kind of finalizing some documents. So by next week at the latest, maybe the end of this week, we'll have the packets out to you. But we're getting some updates done and adding some things to it this year because of the 4-day week, because of some other changes we made. You know, we approved board goals. And so those will be added on there, and we'll have an opportunity to go over those as well. Just some dates. We do have parent teacher conference coming up, March 9th at 12. Am I correct on that time? 11 to 7. 11 to 7 p.m. Okay, that's 2 tonight.
Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, 11. Yes. Our work sessions are on there. There'll be a facility tour on one of those, same with our board meeting, and our April board meeting will be at the regular time. Was there any conflict on the trip on the 20th? There is. What's the?
Me and Tyler, we got.
But here in spirit.
You could probably call it in, right?
Good. If I could, that's the key word.
Yep, I sure did.
Yep. But I hit a tunnel.
You may. You very well may.
Don't jinx
You'll
it.
be so tired by 6 o'clock. You'll be like,
I remember we sat on the tunnel for a long time.
questions for Chris or anybody else?
That one.
All right, take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
No, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Jared, is that from-
The person in the mix now, so I anticipate.
Good trainer.